Starting with the most recent card that has not even had a full release yet, the Mega Gengar EX found in Phantasmal Flames. I was quite upset when I heard that we would not be getting a gold version of Mega Gengar EX, as I honestly think that is the only card that could possibly compete with the Mega Charizard EX gold card we are inevitably getting. However, we still do not know if Gengar is going to be getting a special illustration rare version. We haven't seen one yet in the Japanese sets, but there is still a chance, which would honestly be super cool. They may even withhold that card for some kind of promotional box. This Mega version of Gengar is designed by the team over at 5-Band Graphics. Scarlet and Violet has actually been quite a popular generation for everyone's favourite ghost type, and in Temporal Forces we would get two versions of Gengar EX, one which is the regular print of the EX, and then a full art version of the same card. These cards unfortunately are not all that popular at the moment, as they were not all that playable, although the full art version has become a little bit expensive. The regular EX version of this card was designed by Nisota Niso, with the full art version being created by Satoshi Shirai. Gengar would also get a regular holo rare version found within Paldean Phase. In fact, this card was also used as one of the Halloween stamped cards found within the 2004 Trick or Treat booster bundles to be given out to kids at Halloween. If you have any of these Trick or Treat booster bundles in your collection, they're not worth anything in resale and they never will be. Just give them out to kids at Halloween, you'll make their day. This card was illustrated by Nel, one of the newest and most talked about illustrators for the Pokemon TCG. And the final set so far that Gengar has appeared in throughout the Scarlet and Violet era is of course the Gengar found within 151. This card is really weird and has actually gone down as one of the weirdest card arts found so far in Scarlet and Violet. And of course it is designed by Tomokazu Komiya, which brings us back into the Sword and Shield expansion, which was amazing for Gengar. We had 4 different sets containing Gengar cards, starting with Lost Origin, which had 3 versions created. The first is the regular print version designed by Narumi Sato. The second is the Full Art Trainer Gallery card designed by Akira Komayama, and then finally the promotional stamped version which was created by Yuta. However, by far the set that most people associate most with Gengar from Sword and Shield is Fusion Strike, which features a plethora of Gengar cards, such as this Gengar V card, and then we also got the VMAX versions of Gengar as well, with both the regular printed version, designed by 5-Band Graphics, and then the iconic and also extremely expensive version created by Soso. The Gengar VMAX alternate art is nowadays selling for up to $1,000. Gengar would also get this print found within the Chilling Rain expansion, which also appeared in a Trick or Treat booster pack. This one was designed by Aya Kasube. This also brings us to our first Japanese exclusive Gengar from the 7 Illustrators 7 promos, where 7 illustrators designed 7 cards for one tiny expansion. The card is actually really cool and was designed by Ishiguro Ayako. And finally, we wrap up the Sword and Shield era with a Gengar card that appeared in Sword and Shield base. This card also had a promotional version printed found within the Champions Pass special pin collection. So we get into Sun and Moon, which has had some of my favourite Gengar cards in the world, starting with this Gengar card designed by Sotaro that appeared in Sun and Moon Unbroken Bonds. The regular Gengar cards always seem to have some of the best designs of any non-special Pokemon. However, the Gengar cards I am talking about are the ones found within Sun and Moon Team Up, with the Gengar and Mimikyu GX Tag Team cards. This card had a couple of versions found in the set. First you had the regular print version, which was designed by the legend Mitsuhiro Arita, then the full art version designed by the team over at 5-Band Graphics, who also made the rainbow version of the same card. And then finally we had the alternate art version designed by Midori Harada. Gengar would also get a much more underwhelming card found within the Crimson Invasion expansion, this holo rare Gengar card. It's honestly still really cool, but compared to the Gengar tag team cards, it just doesn't hit on the same level, with this card being designed by Shin Nagasawa. Yet again, Gengar would get a lot of cards within the X and Y series, likely due to its Mega being very popular. And it actually got a promotional release which featured a shiny Mega Gengar, found within the 2016 Collector's Chest. This card is super cool, and was designed by 5-Band Graphics, who make most of the full art and rainbow versions of Pokemon cards nowadays. These next 2 sets though, I really don't understand. Gengar would get a card included within the Breakthrough expansion, designed by Saya Surasuta, and this card would actually also be used in the Generations special set for X and Y as well, for some reason. This was likely due to Generations being a special set and then wanting to just add in cards to bolster the roster we got. Phantom Forces would be another big set for Gengar, as we would get 4 cards released in these sets. 2 versions of Mega Gengar EX, with one being a regular printed version, and the other being the secret rare slightly gold edition. Both of these were designed by 5-Band Graphics, graphics. We would also get 2 versions of regular Gengar EX, with the regular print version being designed by SK Yoshinobu and the full art print version being designed by Ryo Ueda. And that was it for X and Y, but also for Black and White. Black and White was a bit of a soft reboot for the Pokemon franchise, with them prioritizing legendary Pokemon and Pokemon originally found within the Unova region. So we have to jump ahead to the Heart Gold Soul Silver set, Triumphant. This set featured the Prime Gengar card, one of the most expensive Gengar cards ever created. This card is super cool and really is my favorite card from the Heart Gold Soul Silver era, designed by Takashi Yamaguchi. During the Platinum sub-series of the Diamond and Pearl era, we would also get a few more Gengar cards, starting with the Gengar Level X, found within the Platinum Arceus expansion. This card is actually pretty cheap given how cool it is, so if you're a fan of Gengar, definitely look up this card. This card was designed by Shizuru. Gengar would also get a regular print version found within this set, designed by Midori Harada. Which brings us back to Gengar from Rising Rivals. This is the Gengar Gym Leader card, meant to reflect the Gengar used by Fantina. This card is really cool and once again is not that expensive if you like Gengar cards. This card was designed by Naoya Kimura. So we're done with Platinum. Let's move back to Diamond and Pearl with Diamond and Pearl Stormfront. Stormfront is a very popular set for the Diamond and Pearl era and contains some really iconic cards, so the Gengar often gets overlooked, despite it being really cool. This card was designed by Hajime Kusashima. So let's finish Diamond and Pearl with a banger, the Gengar card found in Diamond and Pearl base. This card is actually really cool and is on my list of cards I want to one day get, with this card being designed by Kagemura Himeno. The EX era would be a bit quieter for Gengar, with only 2 cards being released during this entire era, starting with the Gengar found within EX Legend Maker. Once again, this is a really cool, normal Gengar card that won't break your bank to pick up. This card was designed by Kuki Saito. And now we once again have another special Gengar card, the Gengar EX found within Fire Red and Leaf Green. Fire Red and Leaf Green was the first nostalgia-based set for the Generation 1, and featured a lot of very valuable Kanto EX Pokemon, and the Gengar is of course included within this list. This Gengar was designed by Mitsuhiro Arita. So let's move into the E-Reader series, where Gengar would only actually get 2 cards. The Gengar found within Skyridge, designed by Kyoko Umamoto, that came in both a holo and a non-holo version. This also brings us to our second exclusive to Japan Gengar card. Sort of. This is Morty's Gengar, a card that was exclusively found within the Japanese Pokemon Vs expansion. The reason this was exclusive to Japan is because this was when the Wizards of the Coast contract fell through, meaning this set never got a full release within the West, making this one of very few Gengars exclusive to Japan, designed by Naoya Kimura. However, our second card that received a global release was the Gengar found within Expedition base set. This card is also one of the weirdest Gengar cards we ever received, as proportionally, it just looks wrong. However, it still looks cool and came in both a holo and non-holo version designed by Yukiko Baba. Gengar only got 1 full release card during the Neo era, found within Neo Destiny, the Dark Gengar card. This card is definitely the weirdest on the list so far, as it features Gengar in the weird side-eye close-up pose, and was excellently designed by Aya Kasube. We're almost in the original series of Pokemon cards, but first there is actually one more Japanese exclusive promotional Gengar. This card was released as part of the Communication Evolution campaign. This campaign was released with the release of the 3rd expansion sheet, where fans would send in a Haunter card with a copy of Bill's PC to Media Factory. In return, you would be sent this Gengar card. It was a really cool way of implementing the trade evolution into the TCG. The original series of Pokemon cards was really awesome, and some of these cards have broken a lot of bank accounts in recent years, such as the Sabrina's Gengar found within Gym Challenge, featuring a really menacing Gengar standing in front of a moon. This card was really popular when it first came out, and almost 30 years later, this is still a card that is super popular. We would get yet another version of Sabrina's Gengar found within the Gym Heroes expansion. This card at the time was really cool, however when the Gym Challenge Gengar released, people quickly moved on from the Sabrina's Gengar. The card is still really popular today though, with it even being rarer than the Gym Challenge version. Which means we are at the first Gengar card ever released. This is the Fossil Gengar card. Of course, most of the original Gengar cards would also appear within the Legendary Collection, with this card being no different. I love the Fossil Gengar card and even have one myself, which is a birthday gift from my wife. Gengar is one of the best Pokemon ever created, with many people, myself included, looking at all of these cards as some of the best ever designed. Subscribe for more Pokemon card content.